Morning, everybody. BigStew here, and we are about to start section 2 of our physics unit that deals with Newton's laws of motions. Now, this is some big, heavy stuff, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a story. So it's story time. I want to tell you about a kid who was stuck at home during a quarantine, sound familiar, and had his life pretty much changed by a piece of fruit. All right, let me tell you a story about Sir Isaac Newton. We're going to go back a few hundred years to 1664 in England. At that point, Isaac was a college student and he was stuck at home during a quarantine. England and parts of Europe were dealing with a disease called the bubonic plague. Now, this is a booger of a disease. It's carried by rats and specifically by fleas. And when the fleas would bite somebody and suck their blood out, sometimes a little bit of the blood that they already had inside from the person they bit before got put into the person who got bitten. If that flea had bitten an infected person, congratulations, now you have the bubonic plague. And this disease was horrible. It killed millions and millions and millions of people. And the way it works is it would cause body parts to wither and turn black and sometimes drop off. All right. And the stench, the smell was so horrible that people would carry bouquets of flowers in their pockets. And when they would walk by, they would lift up the flowers and smell the flowers just to be able to get down the street without throwing up. If you've ever heard the kids' song, Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. That song came from what the bubonic plague did. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy. You carried pocketfuls of flowers to be able to smell. And then ashes, they had to burn the bodies because people were dying so fast. Grave diggers didn't have enough time to dig graves to put the bodies in. And then we all fall down was a reference to so many people getting sick and dying. Anyway, back to the story. So Isaac Newton was home from college. He was a student at Cambridge. And he was not just your average smart kid. He was one of those really smart kids who, when they were bored, did things like invent a new type of math called calculus, which has made high school and college students cry for centuries. Anyway, Isaac was home and he was out in his family's apple orchard. Now, rumor has it that an apple fell and bonked him on the head. Not exactly true, but he did notice that when apples fell, the apple would fall straight down. It wouldn't fall sideways and it wouldn't fall up. And he noticed this with every single apple he saw. And with his big brain, he got to thinking and he said, this is kind of a cool thing. I think I'm going to call it gravity. So he came up with his law of universal gravitation, where everything in the universe, from the biggest thing to the tiniest little speck, has gravity and is attracted to everything else. Gravity is the reason why you can walk out in the front yard and you don't just fly off Earth. The Earth is attracted to you and you are attracted to Earth. So basically, you kind of stick together. All right, the Earth has gravity and it holds on to the moon. So the moon can go around the Earth without going woo and flying off into space. All right. Newton came up with this while he was sitting at home, bored because of a quarantine. He was upset because he couldn't go back to school. His mama said, "You're not going back because you're going to get that disease and you're going to die. And then what are you going to do? You can't come crying back to me." Sound familiar? So, Newton eventually came up with his 3 laws of motion. 3 laws. All right? You've got the law of inertia, the law of force, mass, and acceleration, and the law of action and reaction. And during this unit, we're going to talk about all 3 of them. But right now, I'm going to sit back and enjoy my Newton fruit, as I like to call this apple, and hopefully I can be inspired in some way during this quarantine to come up with something just as good as what Sir Isaac Newton did while he was stuck at home, too. Y'all have a good one.